Breaking news, as the demented narky known as Donald Trump has officially signed an executive order which has sanctioned South Africa. Well, kind of. Let me explain. Now, the Mongo cosplaying as a head of state, Donald Trump, signed an executive order today which is specifically directed at South Africans. And it will do two things. Firstly, all aid and assistance towards South Africa from the USA is officially cut. So things such as US aid will be cut until further notice. And then secondly, the United States of America will be helping Afrikaners resettle in America as they are quote-unquote victims of racist laws in South Africa. You heard that right. The benefactors of apartheid are now refugees in the United States of America. You can't make this shit up. Anyways, the executive order has given reasons for all of this, stating that 1, apparently we treat Afrikaners bad. 2, we decided to stand up for human rights in the ICJ case. 3, we're starting to become baddies with Iran. And just in general, we're snacks towards the USA. So that's the reason why we're here. But this has been Mashed Up Potatoes here from Pretoria.
Trump just signed an executive order to give refugee status to white people. You can't make this shit up. Signed an executive order today. It's on whitehouse.gov. And it's about South Africa. That's weird. Here's the executive order. He basically says that the government of South Africa is illegally taking land and property from the ethnic minority in South Africa. In case you don't know who that is, he's talking about white people. Now, in his executive order, he talks about how the government of South Africa is dismantling programs that are aimed to create equal opportunity in employment and education and business. Yeah, I couldn't imagine a government that would dismantle programs that would take away the equal opportunity of employment, education, and business. But Donald Trump is very upset that South Africa is doing this, and he signed an executive order giving refugee status to any ethnic minority Afrikaner who the government's taking their shit away, which specifically is happening to white people. Now, there's some very, very important shit to talk about here. The guy who ran his entire campaign on fuck refugees just signed an executive order to make white people refugees. Number 2, how does Donald Trump know what's happening in South Africa? In fact, why is America First Donald Trump so concerned about what's happening in South Africa? Oh, I gotta guess the real president is concerned about it. That's why. But thirdly, and most importantly, he literally talks about in this executive order how it is egregious that they are dismantling these programs to create equal opportunity in employment, education, and business, which is the same fucking thing he's doing here. So what does that mean? That means that Donald Trump understands that diversity, equity, and inclusion in America is necessary because of white supremacy, but he don't give a fuck. He also understands that white people in South Africa stole and hoarded resources during apartheid, and the government simply taking stolen shit back, but he don't like that because white supremacy. So this should tell you two things definitively. Number 1, President Musk is in charge. And number 2, during the campaign when he was talking about immigrants, clearly, as we all said he was only talking about non-white immigrants.
Breaking news, the Trump administration will be stopping all funding to South Africa due to the racial discrimination the white minorities face. They will also be starting a program to help resettle white South African farmers as refugees. That's per the New York Post for the hoes that finna complain. But, yeah, bro, we live in very, very odd times. Like, this shit, you can't make this shit up. You can't make life up. This is the multiverse of madness, bro. Doctor Strange need to fix this shit now.
I'm sorry, but why do I keep seeing this from Americans? South Africans don't want him. He literally has nothing to offer except deepening our country's inequality through hoarding white capital, spreading racist propaganda, and fear-mongering about a supposed white genocide. South Africans don't even claim him as one of ours. His mother was born in Canada, and his father is South African through British colonization. They were exactly the lazy, greedy immigrants that the US always complains about. You can keep him.
So Donald Trump just signed an executive order cutting off all aid and funding to South Africa over a law they passed in which Donald Trump claims is them discriminating against white people. So in their executive order, Trump's White House accuses South Africa of, quote, blatantly discriminating against ethnic minority whites in South Africa. What he is referring to is the Expropriation Act, which was a law passed in South Africa last month, which basically gives the South African government the ability to take land that is not being used and redistribute it if it is in the public's best interest, which, by the way, was a law passed to address some of the wrongs of South Africa's racist apartheid era in which black people had their land taken from them when they were forced to move to designated non-white areas. That is what Donald Trump is calling a racist law against white people, and because of that, he is now cutting off all aid and assistance to South Africa. So this guy makes...
Okay, firstly, why South Africans are not leaving? Because leaving, number one, means that they're gonna fall under the category of being white and immigrants. Two, they're going to have to rebuild what they have in America, which means that they don't have as much control and power, and they're gonna fall under the poverty line, and they won't be treated any special because there are multiple white people, and they won't really receive that special treatment that they get here. They're not leaving. It's not because I'm saying that, but it's because of what they are saying as well. They will never leave. They will never leave this country because here they get white people pandering, black people, pandering to them. They're irrelevantly so. So they get to be stroked multiple times by black people, colored people, Indian people, by their relevance, which they don't have. For my opinion, if you ask me, for me, I see them as lazy and pathetic, and they rely on the exploitation of black people. They have no identity elsewhere. Their identity is linked to being Boers. Literally. It's such a shame, really. Okay, so the Boerkies are not leaving, and no one is stealing land. And if we really read the conduct in the bill that was signed, it's not really talking about the expropriation of land as they should. It's just one act of it. It's not fully enforced. Okay, so, but anything that has to do with the land typically scares the Boers on a certain level that I would never really understand on my life. I would never really understand how they are scared to that extent they are. So yeah, if they leave, those that leave, I'm happy that they are, and I hope they find happiness because life goes on. Hey.